Got a feeling Bajcetic will be our midfield solution. I've no problem if Bajcetic is that extra body in midfield, but I'd like Arne Slot to confirm that. So then we can at least go, right, our midfield is going to be McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, Bajcetic, and we'll see what happens with Endo. A couple of reports about Eintracht Frankfurt have an interest in Wataru Endo. So if we were to move Endo on, I feel like then we would still have another midfielder to bring in. But right now, as we sit here, we need a right back. If Mo and Virgil get extended, brilliant. That gets rid of 2 potential headaches. I would still say we need another centre back. Certainly we need to bring in a left back who the manager trusts to compete with Robbo. And then it's whatever happens up top with regards to Darwin moving on or any other forwards. So the window's looking a bit less daunting with this potentially good news about Mo and Virgil. Steve Shupping said, if Diaz is the Barca and we lose Darwin or Jota, thoughts on left wing and striker for the transfer fee window, or for the transfer window, and much love from fellow Americans. All your support. Supporters around, keep up the great work. Stephen, absolute gentleman, sir. Thank you. And to answer your question, so if Diaz goes to Barca, I think we could bring in another multifaceted forward, because we have Cody Gakpo, and he's probably going to be the one to play on the left, and deservedly so. So for me, if you moved on Diaz, I'd like another forward that can maybe play in a couple of positions. I'm wondering, may that be a Ryan Cherky type player? And then through the centre, if Darwin moves on, which I think he will, I'd want Alvarez. I know that might be unrealistic as well, by the way, but Julian Alvarez for me from Atleti, he would be right up there at the top of my list if there was any way it was possible. After that, I think you've got Šeško as a decent option. You've got Matheus Cunha, although of course people are rightly pointing to his temperament and the few red cards he's had this season. João Pedro's a name that's been written about a lot in the last few days. Apparently Liverpool are very fond of João Pedro. So I think there are some good options there. And most of those names that I've mentioned would be significantly less. Maybe not Alvarez, but Cunha, Šeško, João Pedro, I would say that they'd be significantly cheaper than Alexander Isak. And in some cases, I guess, maybe more robust from a physical perspective. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it, Stephen. And thank you, mate, for your super chat and for your support. Appreciate it. Cunha has anger issues. If he could tame that, be perfect fit. So, yeah, I like a player that plays on the edge like that. But you've got to harness it in the right way. So, Wayne Rooney, Steven Gerrard, these were players that played with that fire in their belly, but sometimes that boils over and, you know, you get a red card. But if you can harness that in the right way, it can be a really powerful tool as well. And, you know, we've seen that Cunha has stepped up this season in the Premier League with Wolves. You know, now part of the Brazilian squad as well. So, there are options. Jamie said, we definitely need a replacement right back and left back, but do you also think we need a CDM as Fabinho hasn't been replaced? Would you take Osimhen? I wouldn't go near Victor Osimhen, to be honest with you. He doesn't strike me as the right fit. The CDM, I want one right now. As we sit here, mate, talking, Jamie, I want that CDM in. But I'm also open to Arne Slot telling me that Stefan Bajcetic is going to be that guy, and that he's going to be the one to come in, compete with or cover for Ryan Gravenberch. I guess the interesting part of this comes from, what if Wataru Endo leaves? Then I do think we have a space in midfield that could be utilised. I'm also very interested to see what happens with Harvey Elliott this summer. And Federico Chiesa. His father said that they in no way regret joining Liverpool, that he's enjoying his time at Liverpool, and that he very much expects to be at Liverpool next season. So, you know, if Chiesa can convince the manager over the next 9 games that he is good enough, because, let's face it, we feel he is, that's another option. Yes, he's been in the team this year, but he's kind of only really been in the squad in name only, because we've not seen him utilised too much from the manager. So, it's going to be an interesting last 9 games, and I hope we see Chiesa start through the middle for the Merseyside derby. I don't see what Arne has to lose here, because the options are Darwin Núñez, who can be brilliant, can be frustrating or can be somewhere in the middle. Or Diogo Jota, who isn't really in the best of form at the minute. Or a guy who came on and scored in the cup final and is feeling like he has a point to prove. I know which one I'd lean to there. It's the guy that feels like he has a point to prove. And no better way to try and do that than a Merseyside derby. Like, imagine he plays Chiesa and he scores against Everton and we win the game. Immediately then, Chiesa is even more in everybody's hearts and probably feels like he's, walking on air, invincible, and that's what you want from your players. So I'd love to see him played for the last 9 games. Nathan, how are you, bro? Said, I don't want us to get Isak, only reason being we won't strengthen in other positions with that amount of money it'll cost. I take Shesko and Delap as we probably spend 100 million on them. I think one thing we do have to talk about, Nathan, when we're speaking about a forward is we will recoup some money. Now, I don't know how much money we're going to get for Darwin Núñez, but we will recoup some money. And also we've Jayden Danns as well. So, we have to think about his future. There's other young forwards as well. Rion Yamoha, he's going to make, excuse me, my pronunciation of his surname, I always get that wrong, apologies. Him coming through, there's Trent Cone-Doherty as well. There's the other youngster that's out on loan. Oh God, how can his name have slipped my mind? Apologies here. What's the young lad's name again? Somebody bail me out on the chat here. I'm having a blonde moment, excuse me. Who's the other youngster? Young winger. Scored a couple for us last year in the League Cup. No, not Bendo. Kumas. Yes, Kumas. Lewis Kumas. That's the one I'm thinking about. So yeah, there's their futures as well to consider. So it'll be interesting to see how much money we put in the here and now and how much maybe we're looking at rounding off the edges, if that makes sense. But we will receive some money in for Darwin, and I'm sure that money will be offset against whatever the expense is for whoever the centre forward is. Craig, have you seen that 75% of Cunha's minutes this season have been spent walking? Does that change your opinion of bringing him to Liverpool? I did see something about that, Trey. Look, for me, my opinion's kind of irrelevant here. But if Arne Slot has looked at the stats and deems him to be the guy, then I want to support our manager. I didn't know that before the stat came out earlier on. I didn't, but it certainly makes you think, right? We don't carry many passengers in our team. We work hard in the team. Dominic Soboslai, McAllister, Gravenberch, they get through a lot of work rate in the middle. So I don't think Arne Slot would be willing to bring in somebody who doesn't buy in to the work rate and the work ethic that he wants in the team. Good point though, and thank you for raising it. I might be naive, but I'm 90% confident / hopeful that we go big on Isak because FSG really need a big win to keep us fans quiet. I don't know, just thoughts. If you are going to spend money, he is proven. And, he's 25, 26 now, Isak, I think. My only concern would be the injuries, but if you've got other options there, whether that's Jayden Danns, Chiesa, or other options that can come in and do a job, it probably would feel a bit less daunting. It's just, for me, 120 million for a player that we can't guarantee will be available at the business end of a season concerns me a bit. But ultimately, would I be happy if we signed him? Yeah, I would.